The morning sun spilled through the wide windows of Sarah Mitchell's Atlanta penthouse, glinting off the polished granite countertop where her favorite ceramic mug sat, steam curling from her coffee like a fragile promise. At 32, Sarah had built a life most people only dreamed of: 6 years of late nights, rejected pitches, and relentless hustle had turned her tech startup into a multi-million-dollar empire. But today, as her fingers swiped across her phone, that empire felt like a hollow victory. A post from her niece, Lily, stopped her cold, a looping Instagram video of champagne flutes clinking midair, the sleek interior of a private jet unmistakable in the background. The caption read, "Family trip vibes. Ready for takeoff." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Her thumb froze, hovering over the screen. The annual family jet trip, a tradition born in her parents' sprawling Buckhead estate, a symbol of the Harper family's wealth and unity. She tapped the video, and familiar faces filled the frame. Her older sister, Claire Harper, 38, with her trademark polished smile. Claire's husband, David, 40, standing stiffly beside her, their teenage kids, dressed for departure. Her mother, Evelyn, 62, sipping a mimosa with effortless grace. Her father, Robert, 65, watching from the sidelines, silent as ever. Everyone was there, everyone except Sarah. Her heart didn't race, it sank, heavy with a truth she tried to ignore. She opened the old group chat, once called Harper Air, where trip plans and inside jokes used to ping back and forth. It had gone silent years ago, the day Claire removed her without a word. No texts, no emails, no last-minute invites. The coffee in her mug had gone cold, its bitterness mirroring the ache in her chest. This wasn't an oversight, this was deliberate. Sarah, at 32, was the youngest of the Harper siblings, the one who never quite fit into their meticulously curated world. Claire, the eldest, had always made it clear, Sarah was technically family, but she didn't belong in their story. Too bold, too independent, too unwilling to play by the unspoken rules of Harper tradition. Still, Sarah had clung to the hope that she was part of it, until now. That afternoon, as she scrubbed wine glasses in the sink, her phone lit up with a notification. A screenshot from Claire, not meant for her eyes. Final seating chart. Sarah's name crossed out. Confirmed. Replaced by Anna. Anna, Claire's housekeeper. A voice memo followed. Claire's laugh sharp and smug. No tension in the cabin this year. The words sliced through Sarah like a blade. Her jaw clenched, but her hands stayed steady. No tears, just a quiet, burning resolve. At dinner, she kept her voice light, testing the waters with her husband, Jack Thompson, 35, a lawyer with a knack for avoiding conflict. The family's planning the jet trip again, she said, watching his face. Jack glanced up from his phone, distracted. Yeah, your mom mentioned it. Why? Sarah tilted her head, forcing a smile. Am I on the list? His brow furrowed. Of course. Why wouldn't you be? But his tone lacked conviction. And she knew he wouldn't check. He never did. That night, Sarah lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan spinning endlessly in their midtown bedroom. Her mind replayed the moments she'd been quietly erased. The cousin's wedding she wasn't invited to. The family brunch she'd only seen on social media. The conversations that hushed when she entered a room. It was a pattern, deliberate and cruel. Before switching off the lamp, she scribbled a single line in her journal. Observe. Don't react yet. The next morning, a text from Claire arrived, dripping with false sweetness. Hey Sarah. So sorry, I forgot to book your seat on the jet. My bad. Reservations filled up fast this year. No explanation, no offer to fix it, just a polite dismissal. As if Sarah's absence was a clerical error. She didn't reply. Her fingers itched to fire back. But she held back, choosing silence over rage. Then an email from the jet charter company landed in her inbox. Cancellation confirmation. Seat release processed successfully. The request had been submitted 3 days earlier, by Claire Harper. Sarah's vision blurred, not with tears but with a pressure behind her eyes that felt like betrayal crystallized. She printed the email, a single crisp page, and tucked it into a manila folder labeled Assets and Records in her desk drawer. When Jack got home that evening, the Atlanta skyline glowing orange behind him, Sarah waited until he cracked open a beer. "Claire texted me," she said, her voice steady. "She said she forgot to book my seat." Jack frowned, setting the bottle down. "Really? Probably just a mix-up." She slid her phone across the counter, showing him the email. "She cancelled my seat 3 days ago." Jack's face hardened as he read, the lines on his forehead deepening. "This is messed up, Sarah. This isn't a mistake, it's intentional." He stepped closer, placing his hands on her shoulders, his voice thick with regret and anger. "I'm sorry I didn't see this sooner. You've been dealing with this for years. And I brushed it off to keep the peace. That stops now." He dialed Claire's number, but she didn't pick up. He typed a message. "Claire. What the hell? Explain what you did to Sarah." No response came. Jack looked at Sarah, his eyes fierce. "I'm with you, whatever you decide." That night, Sarah sat at her desk, opening a new note on her laptop. "What Claire did that I let slide." The list grew longer than she expected. Slights, exclusions, subtle jabs dressed up as jokes. When Jack read it, he sat beside her, his voice soft but heavy. "I saw all this too. And I did nothing. I'm sorry, Sarah." She placed her hand over his. His apology didn't erase the past. But it was the first time she didn't feel alone in the fight. The jet wasn't just a plane to Sarah. It was her triumph, bought with the profits of her startup after years of grinding through setbacks. At 26, she'd signed a check without a tremor. A quiet declaration of her worth. For legal reasons, she'd added Jack's name to the ownership papers. A decision her accountant called practical. But within months, the jet became the Harper family legacy. A phrase Claire coined at a family brunch Sarah was still invited to. Claire had raised her glass, her eyes flicking to Sarah. "There's something special about traditions tied to what a family owns. How wonderful that Sarah supports it." Supports. As if Sarah were a guest, not the owner. Now, staring at the folder of documents, purchase agreements, bank transfers, ownership certificates, Sarah felt a fire kindle inside her. This wasn't just about a trip. They were trying to erase her from her own story. She whispered into the dark. "They tried to write me out. Let's see how that plays out." The Atlanta private terminal was a cathedral of glass and steel, its polished floors reflecting the early morning light as Sarah Mitchell stepped out of the black SUV. At 32, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd fought for every inch of her success. Dressed in a tailored black blazer and slacks, she clutched a leather folder stuffed with documents, proof of her ownership of the jet that her family, the Harpers, had claimed as their own. Her husband, Jack Thompson, 35, gave her a steady nod as he loaded her suitcase. "I'll meet you at the gate," he said, kissing her forehead. "You're not alone." Sarah's heels clicked against the marble as she approached the boarding area. There, near the gate, stood her sister Claire Harper, 38. Posture perfect, a champagne flute dangling from her manicured fingers. Their mother, Evelyn, 62, lingered nearby, her face a mask of practiced calm. The rest of the Harper clan, Claire's husband, David, 40, their teenage kids, and a few cousins, chatted in a loose circle, oblivious to Sarah's arrival, until Claire's eyes met hers. For a split second, Claire froze, her smile faltering like a cracked veneer. Evelyn turned, her expression flickering with annoyance. Not surprise. They hadn't expected her to show up. Sarah didn't slow her pace. Jack fell into step beside her, his presence a silent anchor. As they neared the group, the chatter died, replaced by uneasy glances. Sarah gave a sharp nod and walked past, heading straight for the jet's stairs. The crew didn't hesitate. A tall woman in a navy uniform stepped forward, her voice clear and deliberate. "Welcome aboard, Ms. Mitchell, owner of the aircraft." The words echoed across the terminal, sharp as a gavel. "The owner is now on board. What should we do about the accompanying guests?" Claire's champagne flute trembled slightly. Sarah didn't look back, she didn't need to. The truth had landed. Inside the jet's sleek lounge, Sarah took her seat, the leather folder resting on her lap. Claire, recovering quickly, busied herself fluffing cushions and adjusting magazines. Her phone already angled for a live stream. "Hi, everyone," she chirped, her voice syrupy. "I'm so excited to share our family tradition today. Legacy, loyalty, love, that's what this jet means." Behind her, a crew member passed by. His tone casual but cutting. "An honor to have you on board again. Owner Ms. Mitchell." Claire's smile froze mid-sentence. The livestream comments exploded. "Wait. She's the owner? Whoa. Did you feel that shift?" Claire ended the stream abruptly. Her face pale. The damage was done. 10 minutes later, Claire cornered Sarah in the jet's narrow hallway. "Did you plan this?" she hissed. Her voice low but venomous. "Don't play dumb, Sarah." Sarah stood, meeting her sister's gaze. "I didn't ask anyone to say anything. I just let you tell your story, and watched it fall apart. You don't get to decide who belongs here. Claire, I bought this jet." Claire blinked, as if slapped, then turned and stalked away, her heels clicking furiously. The dining area glowed with soft lighting. A curated stage for the Harper family's pre-flight dinner. Dessert was served, petite chocolate tarts Sarah didn't touch. Claire rose for her closing toast. Her voice polished but strained. "This isn't just luxury," she said, addressing the table. "It's legacy. The people here understand what it means to uphold our family's story. To add to it, not take away." The subtext was a knife, aimed squarely at Sarah. Sarah waited for the murmurs to settle, then stood, her voice calm but unyielding. "I'd like to add to this conversation about legacy." She pulled a document from her folder, printed on company letterhead, and laid it on the table. "This is a transcript from Claire's Zoom call with our family's lawyer last month." She tapped a highlighted line and read aloud. "Sarah doesn't understand our values. She doesn't respect our way." Claire's face drained of color. Sarah slid another document forward. "And this is the purchase agreement for this jet. Sole investor and primary legal owner, Sarah Mitchell." The table fell silent. "I'm not here for drama," Sarah continued. "I'm done being erased behind closed doors." Evelyn cleared her throat, her voice sharp. "Sarah, this isn't the place." But Jack cut in, his tone firm. "Evelyn, stop. Sarah has the right to speak. We all have the duty to listen." His words silenced the room. Sarah looked at Claire. "You can keep building your version of the story, but not on my name." She gathered her papers and sat, the soft hum of the jet engines filling the quiet. After dinner, the family scattered, their usual chatter subdued. In their private cabin, Jack wrapped his arms around Sarah. "You were incredible," he whispered. "I'm proud to stand by you." She buried her face in his chest, feeling a shared victory, not forgiveness, but strength. "Thank you for staying," she said. He nodded. "Always." The next morning, Sarah sat alone in the lounge, sipping coffee as the jet cruised at 40,000 feet. One by one, family members passed by. Some nodded, not apologizing but not distancing themselves either, a subtle shift. Her phone buzzed with a call from her brother, Ethan, 42, his voice quieter than usual. "Sarah, I owe you an apology," he said. "Claire tried to get me to sign documents to edge you out. I shouldn't have even considered it. You're the rightful owner, not just on paper, but in every way." Sarah let the silence stretch, her silence speaking louder than words. "Thank you, Ethan," she said finally, her voice steady. Later, her niece Lily, 19, found her in the lounge, laptop open. "I posted something," Lily said, showing Sarah a blog post titled "The Woman They Tried to Erase. A Lesson in Silence and Strength." Sarah's name was bold in the byline. "Want me to take it down?" Lily asked. Sarah shook her head. "No, this isn't revenge. It's a record of who I am." Lily smiled, a quiet strength in her eyes. "Exactly." That afternoon, Jack sat beside Sarah, his demeanor calm but resolute. "I've been thinking," he said. "I failed you by not seeing this sooner. I vowed to protect you. And I haven't always. From now on, I'm your shield. Let's put the jet in your name alone. You've earned it." Sarah met his gaze. "It was never about the title, Jack. It's about being seen." He nodded. "I know. This is my way of showing it. Back in Atlanta, Sarah hosted a Sunday brunch in her sunlit dining room. No formal invitations. Just eggs, toast, and fresh strawberries for those who mattered. Jack, Lily, Ethan, and his wife, Mia. They sat by the windows. Laughter filling the air, not staged. Not curated. Just real. Not everyone needs to come, Sarah told Jack. Only those connected by heart. He kissed her temple, nodding. Sarah had traded the Harper family's legacy for her own truth. The dining table wasn't her parents' or Claire's, it was hers. Built from her own victories. As she looked around at the faces who chose to be there, she smiled. She hadn't shouted to be heard. She'd stood firm, claimed her space, and let the truth speak for itself. Sometimes, the most powerful act is silence, deliberate, unapologetic, and free.